Members of our Congress, you will always have, within our government, those that are above the law. Hey, it's me, and I feel like I have some good news to tell you because I analyzed this whole situation, and it's only my opinion, right? So it's good news if you buy into it. If you don't, it's like another boring video. But if you compare the situation to 2017 or even earlier this year, everything has really condensed. You know, the Choco regime not involved anymore, overseas, other countries not involved anymore, the CIA not involved anymore. It's the media, the DOJ, the FBI, and the SDNY. If you really condense it, that's it. That is the corruption. And it's there. Now, do you have a more widespread feeling of wanting to handicap Trump? Or see him fail? Or to have him resign? Of course, it's widespread. And some of these people are looking the other way about what is happening at the DOJ, the FBI, and the SDNY. Now, I've always said that these people in justice, they always feel like they're special people. And in many ways, they feel like they're above the law because they are the law. That's how they see it. They're the elites, don't you know? They know better. And just a look at the arrogance of this incompetent buffoon, Robert Mueller, or the arrogance of Stretch, the pajama boy, James Comey, and Peter Strzok, going to Congress, and his demonic antics, the arrogance, just dripping off these demons because they feel they're above the law, that they are the law, they're beyond the law. And so when you have that attitude, they can do what they want, but more than that, they have a loyalty to each other. Now, there's a Clinton component here. A lot of these people in the SDNY, maybe they were placed there by Bill Clinton a long time ago as a DA or something like that. And there's an immense loyalty that comes from that. Even if you look at Trey Gowdy, I mean, the guy didn't touch Uranium-1 for 2 years, or the Clinton email server scandal. He didn't interview anyone. And the Clinton Foundation, he looked away. And now, in the last days of this Congress, you have a little subcommittee of his big committee. They're doing it. But nobody even knows about it. And so that is because Bill Clinton originally hired him. And there's this loyalty. So he will do his job. He will jump. But he's not going to jump very high. And that's what you saw from Trey Gowdy. But now imagine liberals in the SDNY that were placed there by the Clintons. Or people from the SDNY that ended up at the DOJ and the FBI. There's an immense loyalty. It's multiplied for the fact that they're liberals, many of them from New York. They have a hatred for Trump. There could be yet another component of people in New York that want the Trump organization to fold up or to disappear, that, you know, they can take over the locations, and they don't want a Republican there being a big real estate mogul, or at least the Trump organization. It's now branded as Republican. And it's New York. These people are psychos. Not all of them, of course, Yvonne, but you know the drill. And they have this hatred for Trump. And they always had a hatred, but President Trump, you know, he was giving a lot of money to liberals and Republicans. But as you know, it's pretty much all liberal. Now, you have these bad apples, James Comey, McCabe, and Strzok, and all of these people. They were fired. They're out. But even when they're out, they still feel like they're a part of the DOJ and the FBI. And you have Bruce Orr, who's still there, but Sally Yates was also removed. And it's a corruption where you have bad apples, and Mueller's still there, by the way, bad apples that are removed, and the rest of the DOJ and the FBI and the SDNY, they cover for these bad apples because they're DOJ or FBI. and the FBI anyway is a part of the DOJ. So we're saying that they're protecting their own, and we knew that, but I'm saying that this kind of loyalty to each other and the feeling that they're beyond the law, that they are the law, they feel like they're above even the President of the United States, that they have that responsibility. And because they're all liberal, many of them are coming from New York or other liberal places, they have that vision of President Trump being like Hitler or a gangster. Because if you look at James Comey and, just the way they talk about Trump, it's like he's some kind of demon, and it's TTS, but it's also very liberal, very emotional, and it's a caricature. And that means they've been watching CNN the whole time and buying into all of that, and, the propaganda about Trump. And so they have that feeling like they have to even break their own rules to protect the nation from this monster. And so now you have DOJ people, even the ones that were appointed by Trump, Rosenstein and Steiner, and Jeff Sessions, looking the other way, protecting these people, and they have more allegiance to them than to the president who put them there. And that is what happened. I remember there was a small clip of Jeff Sessions saying, when he was just in justice at a low level, he was always looking up at the Attorney General, and it was like, wow, like talking about a king. And then he became that king, the AG. So people that have been in the DOJ, they have that feeling like they're part of a little kingdom, or they're all Vulcans or something like that. It's very strange and awkward, but it's a unique culture. And it's so bizarre that even when, they have bad apples, they investigate it, but in essence they don't do anything about it. And when they do have to fire someone, they do it with a heavy heart. And their feeling is like, well, he didn't really mean it. He was helping us to protect the nation from this monster. And they went a little bit overboard. And we have no choice but to fire them, but we don't want to. They didn't want to fire any of these people. And James Comey obviously was fired by the president. And look at how they react to that. It's like the president committed a crime. How dare he fire one of their own? And a lot of it has to do with that they're liberals. And they see Trump not only as a monster, but as a Republican. So that even the so-called Republicans, like Robert Mueller and James Comey, they become agitated liberals that are shaking with Trump derangement syndrome. They're obsessive, and they're on a mission to take down Trump. And it seems to me that even when you got rid of all these bad apples, they put in Robert Mueller, who then attacks President Trump on their behalf, and also the DOJ and the FBI, they look the other way. So they did all this monkey business with FISA applications. They look the other way. Even the IG, whore of the witches, Horowitz, he's always wasting time, never putting the hammer down, like this FISA warrant IG report. Where is it? Why does it take a year every time for an IG report? How about the Choco Hezbollah connection? That's an IG investigation. Where's the report? That's also like a year. So the guy's just wasting time, just like Rat Rod was wasting time not giving documents. And they're classifying everything, meaning editing out a lot of stuff. And that is because they are protecting themselves. It's not about national security. And you've seen that behavior, but just think about it in a larger scope. That they're really all in it together. All of them. All of them. In the DOJ and the FBI and the SDNY. And many of them are liberals, and therefore they're in control. And even the so-called Republicans that are there aren't real Republicans anyway. And even if they are, maybe they're Republicans with TTS. So in essence, you have like this little kingdom going up against President Trump, Donald the Great. But this little kingdom is part of the empire, and it's supposed to be subordinate to the president. But they're rebelling. It's a rebellion. It's an uprising. It's an intifada. It's subversive. It's treasonous and traitorous. And so you see that they have more allegiance to each other. Even the bad apples that committed perjury or obstruction of justice or broke the rules, their precious rules, their hatred for President Trump or their liberal view of him and their duty to protect the nation from this monster is above all other things. So they have more respect for criminals that broke the law if they were assisting in taking down this monster. And so they protect these bad apples along with all of the media. And that's what you're seeing. And the SDNY, they're kind of like the DOJ and the FBI, but they can be even more liberal, and they're not under President Trump. And so you have three layers of this rebellion. You have the DOJ and the FBI that do have to respond to orders by the president. So they're a little bit compromised in the eyes of all of them. Then you have Robert Mueller and his Clinton Foundation lawyers. They're independent, so you can't touch them or you're obstructing justice. And then you have the SDNY, not in the executive branch, so also free to go after President Trump. So even if you get a great AG and a great FBI director, then you still have to realize they have two other factions in this rebellion that are not under direct control of President Trump. And even if President Trump exerts more power at the DOJ and the FBI, or unredacts documents, they can also use that. I mean, they are waiting for President Trump to make various mistakes that they can exploit, not only to protect themselves, but to take out this monster. And that's really how they look at the president. There is no respect for the office of president, and they're so hateful and childish even, and obtuse. So we have localized the problem, because we're not talking about the CIA anymore. You know, John Brennan losing his security clearance, you know, that makes it that he can't get into the mix. And I'm talking about the FBI and the DOJ. You know, getting classified information without it being a crime. Now it would be a crime. But even without that, I really feel this is a DOJ, FBI play together with the SDNY. People in justice. The special people in their little kingdom. And the SDNY is a part of that. And so, like I said, the Clintons still have influence on many of those liberals or fake Republicans because of having placed people in key positions, being responsible for their whole careers. There is a loyalty there. And, of course, New York and SDNY. And you have de Blasio, you have Cuomo, and a lot of sick mother Tuckers over there in New York that really hate Trump. They hated Trump for a long time. And a lot of jealousy. And, you know, some of these people in the SDNY, maybe they have great relations or kickbacks or whatever it may be with some of the competitors of the Trump organization, or people that have a vendetta against Donald J. Trump. And so they're all there, and using the whole motto of the DOJ and the FBI, that they're really, protecting the nation, and that it's about justice. But in this case, you can see that it's clearly not a case of justice being blind. I mean, they are only seeing orange, and they're angry, and they really want to take out this monster, and they ignore everything that he's doing for the nation, be it being very strong against the drug epidemic, or illegals, or crime in general, or that he built a great economy. They don't care, because they're liberals, or liberal-minded, or controlled by the Clintons and whatnot, and they protect their own. Again, they have more allegiance even to criminals in the DOJ and the FBI than to the President of the United States or we the people. They really feel like they're a kingdom of their own, and nobody can touch them. That they are truly the untouchables. And so I will give you a couple of examples. The current FBI director is Christopher Wray, who worked for Sally Yates for 10 years. Sally Yates was a temp AG not so long ago, and she was the one that refused a direct order from the president, and then she was fired. And she was saying, this is unconstitutional, I cannot do it, I won't do it. So not only did she feel like she's the Attorney General, even though she was a temp, she also felt she was a justice on the Supreme Court, deciding what is constitutional or not. In the same way that James Comey, as FBI director, is only responsible for investigating, but then concluded that Hillary Clinton should not be prosecuted. I mean, these people are living in their own worlds. It's really crazy, but if you have Christopher Wray working with that monster, Sally Yates, for 10 years, what does that mean? Plus, he was recommended to Trump by Rat Rosenstein and Steiner. So is Christopher Wray really the guy that can clean up the FBI? I don't know. But I don't think so. Now, something happened when the Peter Strzok love messages came out with Lisa Page and all the anti-Trump BS that they were saying. His answer was not to, come down on these people in a very hard way. His reaction was like, maybe we should have trainings, and we should train our staff, and we'll focus on training our people not to talk politics in text messaging, or to be more secretive, or whatever is a training. And that's their answer, to protect their own. And if they have criminals, it's like maybe they needed some more training. Maybe they just went nuts because they didn't get enough training, and it's sad. You have to go in there hardcore and really get rid of the bad apples and force people to have that new culture. But what they obviously want to do is maintain everything that they've been doing, and reluctantly they show up at hearings, and then they're like, I don't know anything, I can't answer that. And when they're finally forced to give documents, then they black everything out, and they don't even want to be challenged. I mean, they feel like they're special people, and who are these people in Congress? And who's this guy calling himself the president? And they have that culture, and it's so stubborn, it is so disrespectful, the office of president. And the DOJ and FBI people, they really feel like they're not in the executive branch, that they're a type of government branch by themselves, on equal footing with a president or with Congress, perhaps even higher. Maybe they see themselves as being a little kingdom above the president. because their thinking may be that the FBI and the DOJ are, holy institutions, and presidents, they come and go. It's 4 years or 8 years and they're gone, but we stay. And that's why it's kind of like a definition of deep state when you're looking at the DOJ and the FBI in this way. They're little kingdom, and they're above the law, they're beyond the law, they are the law. And so for them, the presidency doesn't mean anything. They don't respect it as much as they respect each other. Even the bad apples get more respect if they're in the DOJ or the FBI. Now, the appointment of Bill the Bulldog Barr, seems to be a brilliant move. And the reason is, if you have culture like that, then people on the outside, be it Congress or the President or anyone else saying, you guys got to change, or do this and do that, they will be stubborn and they will not do it. I mean, it's like children. What you need is to get one of them in there. And Bill Barr is certainly one of them. He used to be AG even, and he even used to be Robert Mueller's boss. So you get that guy in there, and he says, we got to change how we're doing things. And if it comes from, one of their ex-kings, or you're more likely to get changes. So these people will not respond to the president or Congress or the media even, but the media is on their side, or we the people. But if you get like a veteran in there, somebody that they respect, and one of the holy elders, one of the druids, then they're like, okay, we gotta change this and we gotta change that, and I think it's possible. And so Chris Wray is one of them, one of these people that's been in the system, working even for Loretta Lynch for some time. You gotta get people to understand that there's something new and what they're doing is wrong. And I use that Lord of the Flies example in my other video, and it's really like that. Maybe they need an adult that has common sense and is loyal to the president, like Bill Barr, to go in there and say, why are you idiots focusing on Russia collusion? That doesn't even exist. Or hounding the president of our nation. I mean, calm the F down. How about Uranium One? Why aren't you looking at that? Or the Clinton Foundation? Let's do that instead. And, they're shuffling around and picking their nose, and they're like, okay. And maybe they'll end up doing that. So we'll have to see how Bill Barr goes in there and what the effect is. But I feel like if you analyze this problem, it's not as widespread as I originally thought. And feeling is widespread, but the actual people doing the things that really matter, it's really the DOJ, the FBI, and the SDNY, protected by the media. Now, Bill Barr can affect the DOJ and the FBI. He can also maybe affect Robert Mueller, I don't know. This one, I suspect, could have an effect. And the SDNY, that is the one that is a little bit out of sync. But if you have Bill Barr as the AG, and the whole culture starts to change, maybe these people at the SDNY will take Xanax or a chill pill and relax a little bit, I don't know. And so they could be tamed. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, of course, when you look at Congress with the House Democrats and the media, they're going to look for support from the DOJ and the FBI for all their petty investigations. But you're going to have a Republican Senate with Lindsey Graham leading the charge, maybe to appoint a special counsel. Or maybe Bill Barr as AG, the Bulldog, will appoint like a team of untouchables within the DOJ, and those people are really gonna do a lot of stuff. We just don't know. I mean, what happened to Hoover? Nothing, right? Jeff Sessions just appointed the guy, but nothing happened. And it's kind of odd, because if they really wanted to, they could have done so much more. And that includes Jeff Sessions. But in the end, Jeff Sessions, just like all of these people at the DOJ and the FBI, they have more allegiance to each other. And Jeff Sessions suddenly pretended that he was in the DOJ the whole time, even though the last time he was in the DOJ, or at least in justice, was a long time ago. But as you saw with Trey Gowdy, it's those moments in the past that really stick with you for a long time. And you're always grateful to those people that helped you at that time when you were young and vibrant. Look at Rat Rosenstein and Steiner in the mid-90s. His very first job in justice was working in a criminal division, and his boss was Robert Mueller. And look at how he's more loyal to the DOJ and the FBI and Robert Mueller than the President of the United States who put him there. I mean, that's mind-boggling. Plus, he's from a liberal state, and his wife is very liberal. That always plays a role as well. So Bill Barr is really somebody that can make a big difference in Congress. Lindsey Graham is going to be the man. And of course, President Trump can move in at any time and do something. But like Devin Nunes says, President Trump doesn't want to be the one to always be doing everything. On top of that, that's what some of these people are waiting for President Trump to do another action, and then they're going to try to twist it. President Trump needs help. Why does he have to do everything by himself? So I believe the help will come from Lindsey Graham, the man, and Bill, the Bulldog Barr. And so let's see if that all comes together. Pretty soon now, in a couple of months, we'll start seeing the effects already.